Hello, dear friends. Probably the most common criticism I receive about my videos is that I don't talk enough about the role which the Jews played in terms of reaching the current pathetic state of affairs into which the humanity finds itself. It seems that the people are really thirsty to hear about the Jews and Jews only, and that's why in this video I'm gonna talk about Jews only, the entire video. Actually, people found it so suspicious that I'm not boiling with hate towards the Jews that many were even asking me if I'm a Jew myself. No, I'm definitely not a Jew, nor do I have any relations with Jews whatsoever. The reason for which so many people expect me to speak with hatred against the Jews is because that they believe that the Jews, by fraud, have taken over the leading positions of finance and politics around the world and practically rule the planet without the consent of the people. Now let's see if that is really so, or people have been tricked into thinking along these lines just to surrender their power. A fresh example: Trump was elected as a president of the United States. In his speeches before the elections, he made it crystal clear, without any going around, in very direct words, that he is absolutely pro Jews, pro Israel, and he will maintain this through his term if he gets elected. He did not hide it. And even if somebody objects that they always do fraud during counting the votes during elections, it doesn't even matter, because if it wasn't he, it would be the other party which supports the Jews to an equal extent. So I don't even see a point for them to have rigged this particular elections, because those who really pulled the strings on the top, they were on a win-win situation. So the people, many of which are venomous Jew haters, they themselves voted for the Jew promoter, because it is very common in the United States to hate the Jews, and it is also very common to support Trump. And in the European Union, in Russia, it is absolutely the same situation. Putin is of Jewish origin himself, elected by the people. In the United States of Europe as well, Jews play a major role in the government of the European Union, and that is fully supported by the majority of the people in the European Union. There is no need to rig the elections. They really support them. I live here. I know these parties who support the European Union, they definitely have majority by far. So those who expect me to speak with hatred against the Jews at this point should start recognizing that there is something wrong in the way they perceive the overall picture, because the Jews are in power because they have been empowered by the people, they have been elected. I beg your pardon, but how can you blame the Jews for governing the way they do it as long as you elected them? Did you think that they will change after getting elected? No, they made it clear. Their policies are clearly laid out before they get elected, their nature as well. As long as the masses remain confused and they don't know what they want, or they don't even know what are they doing, nobody can help them. Even if all the Jews just evaporate and disappear overnight, there will be no lack of volunteers to take their positions and manage the world in the same way without the Jews. As long as the Jews hater give them their power by voting for them. Now, at this point, those who expect me to hate the Jews probably think, okay, this is right in general, but the point is that although now they're elected, in future we cannot get rid of them ever, because even if the people decide to vote for entities which do not support the Jews, at the end that will do no good, because all elections are rigged by default, and the person will not get the position he was voted for. This semi-truthful statement is implanted in the minds of the people by the TV so that they can't see properly where is the path to freedom. If a real, genuine leader who cares for the people and is not part of the corrupted parasitic cobweb which has devoured the world, if he is elected by a small majority, let's say he is 5 or 10% ahead to the opponent who is part of the corrupt network, then yes, of course, they will surely rig the elections and he will lose it. But if, let's say, 80, 90% of the people vote for various parties who are with genuine intentions, that means also the army will be in that mood. In this case, they may not even try to directly rig the elections, because when you don't have the police and the army on your side, your position is quite shaky. So it is not impossible to elect genuine leaders. And to my great surprise, there are still genuine leaders, even in US, even in the European Union, even in the Russian government. Just people cannot recognize them. These people, by miracle, are still alive, but they do not have any substantial influence just because people are so blind that they cannot recognize to whom to give their power. Ignorance is the real enemy and not some group of people. The masses simply get distracted by small talk on the TV, and really they cannot see through the lies of most the politicians who are swearing up and down that they care for the people. Actually, they don't give a penny. And the problem is very simple. People cannot recognize the real leaders who care for the people. They will also say, we care for you, but they really mean it. And they have proven it with years of endeavors to really set the people free from this cobweb of corruption. But in our world, where superficiality is the king, people just cannot think that much to screen the actions of a given person. They just go for cheap, meaningless slogans. That's all. That's the level of sophistication most of us reach. And of course, by the end of the day, everything is watered with firewater. Because, come on, everybody knows that this is sexy and cool, and you're a weird person if you talk against using alcohol. But no matter how many people believe in that, the reality remains different. And the reality is that alcohol is a very magical substance that cultivates these qualities in his devotees. Short-sightedness being one of the main qualities. Inability to discriminate what is even in one's own interest. And falling into hypnotic state every day in front of the TV is worse even than alcohol. And hatred towards any group of people, including the so-called Jews, will not do any good for those who want to set themselves free. Hatred, like all other low feelings, will only drag one into deeper ignorance, which is the root of the problem. Yes, exactly, ignorance about everything, even the very basic stuff like who are these Jews that are being hated after all. If it was really the Jews, then why in Israel it's all the time protests and revolts? If the Jews as such were doing all these things, then they should have been celebrating over there and not bloody protests all the time. And actually the really traditional Jews who read the old traditional scriptures and follow them, they actually think it's an insult against Judaism to call the people the Jew haters call Jews. They don't think they are Jews, I mean the traditional Jews. Actually, when most people say Jews, they actually mean banksters. That's a more precise term. And by the way, these banksters, they have their own influential families, clans, they operate in secrecy. And by the way, some of the main clans, they have nothing to do with Judaism. They're not Jews at all. So there is a very serious misunderstanding with all this hating of Jews, and serious confusion is there. And that's what I would expect to find, because we all know these clans, they operate in secrecy, they do not advertise themselves, they put the governments as front mask to cover and take upon themselves the anger of the people. So all this Jews hating is as useful as cat chasing its own tail, because it is not done in knowledge about what is going on and what can actually remedy the situation. And the remedy is the same for personal level, personal destiny, or global in terms of the destiny of the entire humanity. Pure life of knowledge and discrimination. And discrimination, particularly in terms of being able to distinguish between one's own thoughts and aspirations of beautiful, peaceful life, and the thoughts which are literally implanted in our heads, for example, in the state of hypnosis by the TV, when one spends hours in front of the television set. One is officially in state of hypnosis, which means state of high suggestibility, and one adopts thoughts which are not his in particular, but most people simply cannot figure that out. They think, oh, this is normal, and moreover, everybody else around is like that. No, this is not normal. All this crime, all this hellish life, this is unhuman. All this violence on daily basis, self-imposed suffering, this is not normal in any way. Other tactics of implanting foreign thoughts in our psyche is by the use of sound technologies, for example, and not only sounds which we cannot hear, they can also convey messages and convince our brains by delivering to them the corresponding impulses to think in a particular way. This is not science fiction, this is technology used on daily basis. Just the TV doesn't tell you. For example, there are so many gadgets easily you can buy for $20-50 which are brain controlled. They work, they function. Why? Because it's a common knowledge how to translate the brain electric impulses into digital impulses. Well, guess what? The other way around works as well. Not only they can read your thoughts to activate these devices, they can also change your thoughts using maybe even the same devices that they are selling you and you're paying for. Or using devices that you think do something else, like, for example, your cell phone, or devices that you cannot see, for example, big towers located somewhere that you don't see them when you walk around. And the development, and certainly, most certainly, the installation and distribution and maintenance of all these devices is paid by your taxpayer money. You pay for your own enslavement. So when one becomes sober enough to understand and to have sufficient wish to become independent of all this nonsense and foreign hellish thoughts being implanted in your psyche, when that desire becomes sufficiently strong and sufficiently persistent, then the destiny will place you in a situation where you can actually be free. Even if the rest of the world flies full speed straight to hell, the discriminating pure soul, he will be either in a different body or different timeline or some special situation somewhere around the world, but he will not be on this fast train to hell. And when will freedom come on global planetary level? It's very simple. When sufficient bigger percentage of souls turn towards life of purity, kindness, and knowledge instead of swearing and drinking all day. And as far as the Jews, I will be very happy if they live in their own communities and create their own Jewish reality the way they like it. I have never had experience with Jews, but during my travels I have met some really mean groups of people, tribes, which base their entire interactions on hatred and enmity and revenge and just kill each other all the time. They believe this is just normal. I don't hate them, I just don't want to live in such environment, and I don't. But if I start dwelling too much on how mean and pathetic they are, I will be dragged to their level. In the same way, many past life regressions show that people who have intense hatred towards given group of people, for example Jews, there are many examples like that, if they hate the Jews all their life venomously, in the next life they get born as Jews. And this is not something new. Also that famous quote from the Vedic books, whatever you meditate on during your life, that's what you become in the next one. If out of hatred you make the Jews your object of meditation, you're getting closer and closer to becoming a Jew. This is the law of the universe. And finally, a bit more of a direct answer to those who have been prompting me to speak more against the Jews. I still believe I have provided adequate coverage of the subject, but just the group of people that you call in that way, I call them banksters, and I already explained why I really believe this is a much more correct description, much better given name. And I still don't think that I should put them in the focus light even more, because that will nourish a very unhealthy modern tendency to only concern oneself with the lower level prostitutes which work for money and carry out the ground level errands bribed by the real bosses, the forces of evil on the top. Too many people find the stories about prostitutes very entertaining, and they get stuck on this superficial level and never delve further into the matter. And that's really not beneficial on collective level, because with such a childish understanding of the situation, we are not gonna get anywhere in terms of remedying it. And I make all my numerous videos, including the multi-episode series of the survivors, which is a lot of work, not just to publish some horror story for free on internet. That wasn't my intent. My actual intention was to draw the public attention to the only constructive way for getting out of this situation, and that is knowledge and pure life. Hating the low-level prostitutes, protesting against them, blaming them, portraying ourselves as innocent victims. This doesn't work. This has been going for decades, and the situation with the technocratic digital slavery is only getting worse. So that doesn't help at all. But the real old ancient knowledge of how exactly we can modify our reality with the power of our thoughts, that works. And that is what the great spirit of the Amazon, Ayahuasca Devi, has taught me. And that is definitely the most important core message of the New Earth video channel.